It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running. Welcome in another edition of Musso at the Box, presented by Got Lit Light Installers. Glad to have you along for the ride. LSU, they get set for weekend number 2. They will welcome in the Omaha Mavericks for a 3-game set at Alex Box Stadium, Skip Bertman Field. Then they will wrap up a 4-game weekend with Nichols on Monday. This show focuses a lot on Omaha and that series preview. We'll give you a brief overview of the Mavericks, look at the pitching matchups, obviously go through a little bit more in depth on players to watch, what we're looking for from LSU, all of those things jam-packed here in today's Musso at the Box. Actually, the next few shows are really just going to be a lot of preview and recap because it's a busy schedule where LSU now has 5 games in 7 days to play after the cancellation, or I should say postponement, with Nichols. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. Smash the like button if you have not already. Get subscribed up to the YouTube channel if you have not already, and on your favorite podcast app. Follow me on social media. Those handles scroll on the ticker below. And let's go ahead and get started. We will begin with our overview of the Omaha Mavericks. Another fantastic mascot coming in. You started with the Mastodons and now the Mavericks. This is really solid. They are out of the Summit League. Were picked to finish 3rd in the Summit League here for 2025. A season ago went 18-32-1, but 16-13-1 in Summit League play, earning themselves the number 1 seed in that tournament. They obviously would not win that tournament, or Roberts would, but strong finish in conference play. When you look at that team from a season ago, Omaha has a lot of new faces on this group, 24 newcomers. That's 9 freshmen along with 15 transfers, but they do return 17 guys from that team that claimed the Summit League number 1 seed a season ago. We'll get into some of those newcomers, some of those returners, guys to really watch. So far here in 2025, you are looking at a 1-3 team in Omaha. They've actually spent quite a bit. They've spent their entire season so far in Louisiana. So they opened up at Tulane, then played Nichols on Tuesday night. Now they will make the trip up to Baton Rouge, and that will wrap their 2-week or so road trip in Louisiana, and then they're off to, I believe, Kansas. But 1-3 on the year. Were swept at Tulane, defeated Nichols. On the season, they're hitting .288 as a club. 3 home runs. They have scored 26 runs in 4 games. On the mound, the Mavericks, ERA of 9.28. That's in 32 innings. Walks have been a major issue for this team. 25 of them in the 32 innings to go along with 27 strikeouts. The opponent has hit .305 off of Omaha pitching, and in the field, .971. So that's your overview here of Omaha. When you kind of compare and contrast that to LSU, it was a banner opening weekend for the Tigers. Obviously, you look at the first 4 games, and it's been incredible. LSU has hit 360. They've hit 362, 5 homers as a club. They have drawn 30 walks and struck out just 17 times so far on the season. They're fielding .985, and the pitching staff sports an ERA of 0.53 in 34 innings, 3 walks, 52 punch-outs for the LSU pitching staff. It's heavily skewed in the favor of the Tigers here this weekend, but there are some things to watch with Omaha that I do want to get into. And things that I do think present a different challenge and a stiffer challenge to LSU than Fort Wayne and Southern obviously did. So that is part of the intrigue here of this series. LSU should win it and win it handily, but there are a few things. Let's dive into our pitching matchups before we get there, shall we? LSU expecting them to roll out the same rotation. As of this recording, Jay Johnson has not announced the starting rotation, but I don't see a reason why that would change. So, in looking at it, you're expecting sophomore lefty Cade Anderson on the bump for the Tigers Friday at 4 p.m. Second appearance, second start. He is 1-0 with an ERA of 0, 5 innings pitched, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. The opponent hitting 235 off of Anderson. When you look at, almost said Purdue Fort Wayne. When you look at Omaha, Braden Curtis had the first start for them on opening day. You expect him to go again. Second appearance, second start. No decisions on the year, but an ERA of 11.25, 2 walks, 5 punch-outs. The opponent hitting 313 off the junior right-hander out of Nebraska. Pitched sparingly in bullpen role a season ago, had an ERA north of 7, has moved into the starting rotation here this season for the Mavericks, and again, got the start against Tulane on opening day. You expect them to just run that back. For LSU, game number 2, junior righty Anthony Ianson, 1-0 on the season. Second appearance, second start, ERA 1.80, also 5 innings, did not walk anybody, struck out 6. The opponent hitting 222 off of Ianson. When you flip it over now for I almost said Purdue Fort Wayne again. When you flip it over for Omaha, you're looking at a transfer coming in, but a senior right-hander, Ben Weber, 6'1", 200 pounds, someone that they were very high on when he arrived. Weber struck out 12 and 9 1/3 innings a season ago. He struck out 12 and 9 1/3 innings as a freshman at Kansas State. He then transferred and spent the last 2 seasons in junior college, where he posted an ERA just over 2, had 33 strikeouts in 27 1/3 innings. So he's got some pretty good stuff, and that's a guy who started his career and pitched with success at the Power 4 level. Okay, that's something that you didn't see from Purdue Fort Wayne, and really obviously from Southern. That is interesting, at least when looking at Ben Weber. Now, that being said, it did not go great for him against Tulane. So you're looking at Weber to make his second appearance, second start. He is 0-1 with an ERA of 12. He lasted 3 innings. He walked 2, struck out 2. The opponent is hitting 357 off of Weber here so far in 2025. For LSU, Saturday, redshirt sophomore righty Chase Shores expected to toe the bump again. Second appearance, second start. He is 1-0 with an ERA of 1.80, 5 innings pitched, no walks, 7 strikeouts. The opponent hitting just 176 off of Shores. When I look at LSU starting rotation as a whole, before we get into what could happen game 3 for Omaha, I look at a group that, okay, you saw Anderson go 5 shutout. He threw 83 pitches. Where can you get him to in week number 2? Can he get 6? Can he get to 95 pitches or so? Maybe 100? Ianson, 81 pitches, 5 innings, same deal. Can you get him right there around 95 pitches? Maybe a few more, 6 innings out of him? And then Chase Shores threw, I believe it was 65, I think it was 67 pitches for Shores on Sunday, 5 innings. Where's his pitch count go up to now? If he's efficient and you raise that to 75, 80, you're looking at 6 innings, maybe 7, if he's as efficient as he was a week ago. But that's really the next step is, okay, how far do you extend them? It'll be a little chillier this weekend as you deal with the back end of this cold front for Baton Rouge. But LSU, the pitching thrived because there were some chilly days, obviously, against Purdue Fort Wayne. We'll get into some challenges that maybe Omaha presents a little bit later on, but that's kind of ultimately what you want to see from the LSU staff. When you look at Omaha game number 3, I don't necessarily really have a third guy, but CJ Hood got the start for them last week against Tulane. He's a junior righty, great size, out of Nebraska, 6'4", 200 pounds. Kind of, what you you look for a right-handed pitcher. That's the build you're looking for type deal, right? So if he is the choice, you're looking at start 2, appearance 2, 0-1, an ERA of 9 on the season. He threw just 2 innings in his first start, walked 4, struck out 2. But he didn't give up a hit. I mean, the problem with CJ Hood was the walks and the free passes that he issued. And, that can be the undoing, obviously, of a pitcher. But they were quick to get him out of there and kind of go whole staff on Sunday. That could be the route that they go again. Hood's another guy. He started his career at Nebraska. So this is a guy with Power 4 experience, and then transferred out and spent the next 2 years at Illinois State, and now is at Omaha. So again, you're going to see better stuff on the mound from these Omaha pitchers than you did from Fort Wayne, than you did from against Southern. I think that's very, very fair to assume just when you look at the background of some of these guys and where they started their careers. All right, let's move forward now into key players and the problems that Omaha could present and what we want to see from LSU. But first, Gotlit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. It's not just Christmas lights anymore over at Gotlit, but what does remain is the same great customer service, the same great relationship building that Derek and his team offer that you've heard us talk about plenty over and across many different platforms here at Guarantee. What's new is permanent landscape lighting to help better illuminate your space at home, whether it's the backyard, whether it's the front yard and the flower beds. Maybe you have outdoor kitchen, pool area that you want to bring upscale. They offer that at Gotlit Lights. Maybe you're just hosting a party, birthday, wedding, engagement party, anniversary, any type of reception. You need some temporary lighting brought in. Yeah, Gotlit Lights. I mean, there's no other option. There's no other company that offers the standard level that Gotlit Lights does. gotlitlights.com. You can get a quote there. Work with Derek and his team. You will not be disappointed. Check out the Facebook page as well. gotlitlights.com. Gotlit Light Installers bringing you Musso at the box all season long. Okay. When we look at some key players, we'll start offensively for Omaha, because that is really where I think the challenge lies that is different from a week ago. Omaha, they're hitting 288 as a club. We talked about that right off the jump. They scored the 26 runs in 4 games, which is a nice total. In their opener against Tulane, they banged out 17 hits, and that game was extremely competitive. The Mavericks just would not really go away. They fell behind early 5-0, but over the course of the next 3 innings, in the middle innings of the game, took a 6-5 lead. Once they gave that lead up again, Tulane then made it 10-6. In the top of the 8th inning, the Mavericks responded with a 4 spot to tie the game at 10. Now, unfortunately, they would give it up in the bottom half of the 8th and lose that game 12-10. But that's a group that was highly competitive, 10 runs on 17 hits in their season debut offensively. It's a lineup that has plenty of returners, but also guys that they have brought in. We talked about the 24 newcomers. When you look at those newcomers, you look at Sam Beck. He started his career at BYU. He's been hitting leadoff for Omaha so far throughout the season, but again, that's a guy, Power 4 experience already. Then you have Blake Stenger. Stenger spent the last 2 years at Illinois State. He comes in over the course of those 2 years, a 669 OPS. So, I mean, there's something there for him. And when you look at him early on here in 2025, well, actually, he's still looking for his first AB. But that is a guy that they were high on when he came in. In terms of returning players for Omaha, I keep wanting to call them Purdue Fort Wayne, and it is driving me insane. Other returners for Omaha, the Mavericks, LSU's opponent this weekend. Cardell Dick, catcher. He finished second on the team a year ago with RBI. Also, 3 homers. He was near the top of the team in doubles as well. So it's a really good bat. Off to a bit of a slower start here so far in 2025, just hitting 231, but does have 4 RBI. So that aspect of his game has rolled on. And then the guys to just really, really, really keep an eye on in the lineup, probably should have led here, are 3 returning all Summit League second team honorees. Tyler Bishop hit 317 a season ago with 8 homers and led the team with 38 RBI. Henry Zapay, coming off a year of 300, is on a tear early, 583. So for the Mavericks, that's a guy to absolutely keep an eye on in that lineup. And then Noah Grice is back. He hit 247 a season ago. But when you look at him here in 2025, slower start, has only appeared in 1 game, but that's a player who, if he's not in the lineup, keep an eye on coming off the bench, because he definitely proved himself pretty well a season ago for the Mavericks. And then one more who isn't really listed in that realm of returners or whatnot is Jackson Trout, outfielder. He's hitting 375 homer, leading the team currently with 6 RBI. He's been on a tear as well early on in the season. And then one guy just to mention, because of a tie to Louisiana, is Cale Babin. Cale Babin is from Gonzales, prepped at East Ascension, went to a junior college, and now is at Omaha. So cool homecoming for him, obviously this weekend. And he's playing well. In 3 games, 3 starts, he's hitting 300. So that's just a cool Louisiana tie with a lot of guys coming down, spending 2 weeks here. A guy like Cale Babin comes down and spends 2 weeks in his home state, and now we'll get to play 3 games at the box, which I'm sure he's dreamed of doing, and we'll have a lot of family, obviously, in town, with Gonzales being, 25, 30 minutes down the road. That should be a really, really cool experience for him this weekend going forward. When you look at the mound, key players to watch, I have a couple for you. We can get a little bit more in depth now that these teams have played a game. We went through the starting rotation. Obviously, you want to watch those guys. But we'll start with Luke Gaynor. Luke Gaynor's a senior lefty, served as the closer for Omaha a season ago. It served in that role really well. The opponents just hit 183 off of him in conference play, and he was top 3 in the Summit League in ERA at 2.48. Now, over the course of the whole season, the ERA was just 3.8. So it was very good. He recorded 5 saves, almost 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. Really good arm from the left side in Luke Gaynor. In fact, he was named to the Collegiate Baseball Writers Association Stopper of the Year watch list. So that's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. Again, Luke Gaynor, senior left-handed arm for and I've lost his. There we go. For the Omaha Mavericks, 6 foot, 195. Now he is off to a bit of a rough start so far through 2 appearances, an ERA north of 10, 2 1/3. But that's a guy that they trust. The thing that's bogged him down is the walks. Walks have been a big problem for Gaynor. The other guy I will tell you, keep an eye on, is Carter Mick. Carter Mick is a freshman lefty out of Lincoln, 6'3", 190. He has been the best reliever so far on the early season for Omaha. 2 appearances, an ERA of 0. He's punched out 3 in 3 innings. The opponent is hitting just 111 off of him. That's number 37, Carter Mick. Okay, what do we want to see from LSU? So you might have picked up on a few things. One, on the mound, this is a stiffer test. It's not Arkansas or Texas or Tennessee or A&M, any of those teams that you're going to see later in the season. It's not even Kansas State, Nebraska, who you'll see a week from now. But It's players with Power 5 experience like Sam Beck. It's veterans returning in this lineup that have college baseball experience under their belt and at high levels. And it's a team that has already shown the ability to score double digits and bang out 17 hits against a good program in Tulane. And then they went on the road and beat Nichols, a good program. That game was shortened. They didn't get to play the bottom of the ninth because of rain. But they were up 3. You would have expected them to be able to close that out. So they've come down here, and while they've only won 1 game, they've acquitted themselves nicely. This is obviously going to be the best pitching staff that Omaha sees, but I do like the fact that this presents maybe a stiffer test for LSU. Somewhat of a stiffer test for LSU. So for the pitching staff, you want to see them throw strikes. Continue to do what you did. I know everybody wants to scoff at the competition that you did it again. I don't care about that because LSU pounded the strike zone. You walked 2 guys opening weekend. You've walked 3 and 4 games. In the first 4 games a season ago, LSU walked 27 guys. You could see the red flag. Like you saw it. That's a problem. Right now, you're pounding the strike zone. So keep doing that. I would hope that this Omaha lineup can provide a little bit more of adversity for LSU as well on the mound so we can start to see how they overcome that and if roles and guys can start to separate themselves a little bit. Obviously, I'm itching to see Gavin Guidry, and it's going to happen this weekend, and I would expect it to happen Friday. Said that in our Q&A episode we did a day ago. I expect Gavin Guidry to be the first guy out of the bullpen on Friday once Cade Anderson's done. And I think in a perfect world, you'd be able to go Anderson Guidry on Friday. Now, I don't know if that's what Jay Johnson wants to do. He's probably going to want to get a lot of guys work. But again, you have 4 games coming up here in a row where you can get guys plenty of work. And then on top of that, after the 4-game stretch, you have a ranked matchup coming up with Dallas Baptist on the road. So you're going to need some arms for that game too. But if you can get 6 innings out of Cade Anderson and then turn it over to Gavin Guidry and let him pitch the final 3, that way he gets the experience, he gets his feet wet at the end of the game again, but also you can extend him a bit. I think that would be perfect for LSU here as a plan this weekend. And then you go into Saturday, Sunday, Monday, where you can get all these other guys work. We'll see how they handle it. But one thing's for sure, I would hope that Gavin Guidry is first out of that pen on Friday so we can finally get our look at him here in 2025. It's odd to say that they've played 4 games and Gavin Guidry, who's going to play a major, vital role on this team, has not pitched. But I'm curious to see how LSU matches up against this lineup because it is more veteran. It does have a little bit more pop than, say, a Purdue Fort Wayne or a Southern. This is definitely the best hitting team that LSU has faced thus far in this season. Small sample size, albeit. Strikes. That's what it starts with. Strikes. The more you see LSU pound the strike zone, the faster that whole narrative of it was against Purdue Fort Wayne goes away. One time it's trend, right? Or one time it's a fluke. More and more sample size grows, it becomes a trend. So we'll keep an eye there. I also want to see the freshmen on the mound again as well, potentially in a little bit more adverse situations, things of that nature. How it goes for them their second time out. A lot of them showed no nerves, and not just the freshmen, the newcomers as well. But a lot of them showed no nerves their first time in an LSU uniform on the mound at the box. I think that's great. So how do they follow that up? That'll be very, very interesting for me to watch. When we flip things over offensively for LSU, I'm going to continue to watch catcher and see how that goes. We're just going to talk about that ad nauseum here early in the season because they've got to kind of get that figured out. And they got to kind of figure out which way they want to go there. Cade Arambidi is really intriguing for me there because he is smashing the baseball. It's just not falling in for him. But again, there is the defensive side of things behind the plate for him that I think needs to still clean up a little bit. But if those hits start falling in, he might force his way into the lineup. So we'll have to wait and see. I would expect you to see him and Hernandez continue to rotate. We'll see with the 4-game week if this is an opportunity for them to get Priester a start and maybe some extended at bats. But right now, I don't know if that's going to be in the cards. So I would really keep an eye mainly on Aaron Beatty and Hernandez to continue to rotate the catcher position this weekend. And then offensively, same deal that we talked about with the LSU pitchers going up against this Omaha lineup. There are guys with power forward experience. We talked about Ben Weber. We talked about CJ Hood. CJ Hood left Nebraska and went to Long Beach State, which is historically a great baseball program. You're going to see better stuff from these guys. How does that work for LSU? Is it like, oh, finally, something we're a little bit more used to seeing? I don't think they're going to have guys coming out there throwing 98, right? Like you're going to see in the SEC. But you're probably going to see more high 80s, low 90s this weekend from Omaha. So LSU could look at that and go, oh, that's something we're more used to. They could continue to pound the baseball. Or do they take a little bit of a step back after seeing the pitching that they have, and now you bring in a team like Omaha that can spin it a little bit? What does that look like? The one thing I would hope is that patience is preached at the plate for LSU this weekend, because this is an Omaha team that in 4 games has walked 25 guys and only struck out 27. They have allowed more hits than innings pitched, and they have walked 25 guys. They will put you on for free. And against an LSU lineup that has been lethal so far this year, that is not a good recipe. And that is the matchup that I think swings this completely into LSU's favor. Aside from them just being more talented and whatnot, LSU, if you can't keep them off the scoreboard, you can't win the game. So that's obviously going to be, massive to watch here going forward this weekend with LSU and Omaha. We'll continue to watch the rotation in the outfield. Does some separation start to happen there? Said in our Q&A, I think by the second weekend in conference play, when you head to Austin to face Texas, you need to have settled on a lineup. That's going to be your primary deal for this season. Jay's liking the rotation so far, but I think eventually that will work itself out. There's going to be guys emerge that it's just going to be, okay, you can't not have him in the lineup type deal. If you're facing Braden Curtis, just a little sneak preview of maybe what to expect. If you're facing Curtis, I don't think you see Ethan Fry on Saturday. Fry's in there much more often against left-handed pitchers, so I don't think that you see Fry. I think you see two of your three lefties, whether it be Brown, Larson, or Pearson. So I mean, we'll see. Let's see. Pearson got the start in right against Southern, and Fry DH'd. So what you could see is Brown or Larson get the start in the outfield, Pearson DH, or some combination of those two. Y'all know how I feel. I want Ashton Larson in the lineup. So that's me. But we'll see what they do. But I think against the righty, I don't think you see Ethan Fry in the lineup Friday, at least to start, potentially a pinch hit opportunity later in the ball game. But we'll continue to watch those 4 guys as they jockey for position there, because that's going to be key. I mean, all 4 of those guys can help you. That's for sure. But somebody's going to eventually separate, and that's what's ultimately going to help LSU settle on this lineup. So we'll continue to follow that all throughout pre-conference, and we'll do it again here. They're off to a great start. Look for that separation. LSU, I expect them to win this series with a strong chance to sweep, but it is baseball. We never really like to throw out the S word until They've won the first 2 games, and we're looking forward to Sunday, but I do expect them to get 2 out of 3 at least here against Omaha over the weekend. We'll have you covered wall to wall, live stream reactions. It all gets started 4 p.m. Central, first pitch on Friday. Weather looks great at the box this weekend. Might be a little chill in the air, but ultimately should be a fine weekend for baseball. That's going to wrap it up. Y'all smash the like button, get subscribed on your way out as well. YouTube and your favorite podcast app. And be here next time for more on Musso at the Box, presented by Got Lit Light Installers.